I used to think love was a weakness, something men like me couldn't afford, so I kept her close, but never too close. Touched her, but never truly held her. I let her love me, while I made sure she knew I didn't love her back. I called her a gold digger, a commodity, something I could replace whenever I got bored. And she still stayed, even when she was breaking. Even when she was dying. My name is Damien. And I'm the man who let the only woman who ever loved me die, and I didn't even realize it until I was standing over her grave. The whiskey burned going down, but that was the point. I wanted to feel something other than the dull ache that had taken up residence in my chest lately. Damien, Tess has been with you the longest, hasn't she? Marcus leaned across the private booth, his breath sour with brandy. Ever think about settling down? I raised an eyebrow, keeping my face carefully blank. Does she deserve it? The words came out smooth, practiced. In the end, she's just a commodity. I paused, letting the cruelty land. And frankly, I'm getting tired of her. The laughter from my friends was immediate, expected. This was what they wanted to hear. Damien Cox, still the same heartless bastard who'd never let a woman close enough to matter. Really? Then lend her to me for a few days, Damien? Marcus's eyes gleamed. Honestly, Tess is quite a catch. Great body, too. No wonder you've stayed with her so long. Something hot and violent surged through my chest. For a split second, I imagined my hands around Marcus's throat. Control yourself. I forced a smirk, blowing a perfect smoke ring toward the ceiling. Go ahead, have your fun. Marcus laughed, but I caught the way his eyes flickered, checking if I meant it. Just kidding, Damien. I wouldn't dare, even if you lent her to me. Wouldn't dare touch your woman. He drained his glass. Besides, even if you agreed, Tess wouldn't. Everyone knows she's madly in love with you. I looked at him then. Let him see something cold in my gaze. What's there to be afraid of? If you want to play, play. The words tasted like poison. If you don't believe me, let's make a bet. I'll let you have her, and within 3 days she'll come crawling back to me, like she always does. Marcus raised an eyebrow. You're that confident? A woman like her, I said, and my voice came out flatter than I intended. Whether in bed or out of it has no backbone. The room erupted in laughter. Someone ordered another round. I let the smoke curl around my face, hiding behind it. I didn't mean it. Any of it. But pride was a fucking monster, and I'd been feeding mine for 30 years. The door opened. Tess walked in. Our eyes met for half a second. Long enough for me to see she'd heard something. Long enough for me to see the flicker of pain cross her face before she smoothed it away. Long enough for me to feel my heart lurch in that stupid, familiar way it always did around her. She heard everything. I opened my mouth to say something, anything, but the words wouldn't come. What could I say? I didn't mean it. I'd meant it enough to say it. She walked in like nothing was wrong. Like she hadn't just heard me call her a commodity with no backbone. That was Tess, always swallowing her pain, always pretending for my sake. I wanted to throw my glass at the wall. I wanted to clear the room. I wanted to take her face in my hands and tell her. Tell her what? That I was a coward. She already knew. She's just a gold digger, I reminded myself. She's only here for the money. I've been telling myself that for 5 years. Maybe if I said it enough times, I'd actually believe it. I woke with a skull full of broken glass and the vague memory of Tess's body beneath mine. Again, I stared at the ceiling of my apartment, watching the morning light crawl across the plaster. She was still asleep beside me. I could feel the warmth of her, hear the soft rhythm of her breathing. I didn't turn to look at her. If I looked at her, I'd want to stay. If I stayed, I'd want to keep her. And if I kept her, she'd eventually leave, because that's what people did. Or worse, she'd stay, and I'd find out she was only here for what she could take, like everyone else. Except she's never taken anything. The thought slipped through before I could stop it. I crushed it down. I slid out of bed carefully, not wanting to wake her. In the bathroom, I gripped the sink and stared at my reflection. You're a coward, Damien Cox. Yeah, probably. I dressed slowly, taking my time with the buttons of my shirt. By the time I came out, Tess was sitting up in bed, the sheets pulled around her. She looked pale this morning, tired. There were shadows under her eyes I hadn't noticed before. When did she start looking so fragile? From now on, I heard myself say, the words coming out cold and automatic. You don't need to come anymore. She lowered her gaze. Her fingers gripped the edge of the blanket, knuckles white. For a moment, I thought she'd argue, or cry, or do one of the things women usually did. Instead, she said, I'm sick. Please, can you not abandon me? A tear slid down her cheek. Real or fake? I couldn't tell anymore. I'd spent so long looking for the lie that I'd forgotten how to recognize the truth. But what if it's real? What if she's actually... No, I couldn't go there. Couldn't soften. Soft men got destroyed. Tess, who are you pretending to be a poor little thing for? The cruelty came easily now. It was a habit, a shield. You're getting more creative with how you cling to me. Pretended to be innocent. But it was always about money. I just played with you until you cracked. Something flickered in her eyes. Pain. Anger. It was gone before I could name it. Then, give me 30,000, and you can forget about me, she said quietly. We can end it, and you'll never see me again. But you owe me that. After 5 years, 30,000. The number hit me like a slap. There it was. Proof, finally, that I'd been right all along. She was exactly what everyone said she was. Then why does it hurt so much? So that's all I ever was to you? A wallet? I crossed the room in 3 strides, pinning her to the bed. My hand found her throat. Not hard enough to hurt, just hard enough to hold her still. Tess, so all you ever loved was money. Unfortunately, you don't get to negotiate with me. I let her go and walked out, made it to my car before my hand started shaking. I sat there, gripping the steering wheel, watching my knuckles go white. 30,000. What did she need that much money for? She had an apartment, clothes, food. I paid for everything. The allowance I gave her every month should have been plenty. More than plenty. She's probably got some guy on the side. Some losers she's bankrolling. I told myself that. I needed to believe it. But as I drove away, I caught myself in the rearview mirror. My own eyes looked back at me, haunted, uncertain. What if you're wrong? I didn't have an answer. I don't know why I bought it. I was walking past a boutique, some designer place Sophie had dragged me to once, and there it was in the window. Pearl white dress, simple, elegant. The kind of thing Tess would look beautiful in. Her birthday's tomorrow. The thought appeared uninvited. I tried to push it away. I didn't do birthday gifts. I didn't do romance. That wasn't who I was. She'll be alone, blowing out candles by herself. I didn't know how I knew that. I just did. Tess didn't have many friends. I'd made sure of that. Over the years, with my casual possessiveness, her family was far away. On her birthday, she'd be alone. I bought the dress anyway. Told myself it was just a thing, meaningless. A way to keep her compliant, to make sure she stayed useful, that's all. But when I left it at her apartment that night, she was out. Probably working her part-time job. Not that I cared. I wrapped it carefully. Silver ribbon. The works. Pathetic, I told myself. Absolutely pathetic. The next night I was at the club with my friends when my phone buzzed. Tess's name on the screen. I ignored it. She'd call again. She always did. But she didn't, and I spent the rest of the night distracted, irritable, snapping at everyone for no reason. She didn't call. Good. That's what I wanted. Liar. I told myself she was lying, that she wanted money. But if I was wrong, if she was telling the truth, then everything I did to her wasn't just cruel. It was unforgivable. So tell me, was I a fool or a monster? Leave one word in the comments. And if you feel this story, don't forget to like and subscribe. I proposed to Sophie because it was expected. The right family, the right connections. A woman who wouldn't make me feel things I didn't want to feel. The ring cost more than most people's houses. The setting was a private villa in the hills, lit with 1,000 candles. Sophie cried, happy tears, she said, and threw her arms around my neck. I felt nothing. The photos went viral, as I'd known they would. I watched the likes and comments roll in, the congratulations, the speculation about when the wedding would be. Tess will see this. I told myself I didn't care. Why would I care? She was just what, Damien? I didn't have an answer. That night, I scrolled through the comments. Hundreds of them. Thousands. People saying what a beautiful couple we made. How lucky Sophie was. How lucky I was. I found myself searching for one name. One comment. Nothing. Of course not. Why would she comment? Why would she reach out? I'd made it perfectly clear she meant nothing to me. I threw my phone across the room and didn't sleep for hours. My friends loved to talk about Tess. Still hanging on to that one, huh? You know she's only in it for the money, right? Don't get too attached. Damien, girls like that, they'll bleed you dry and move on. I knew. So why did I keep her around? Why did I transfer money into her account every month, always a little more than necessary? Why did I notice when she looked tired or pale or sad? Why did I find myself buying her favorite pastries and leaving them in her kitchen like some lovesick teenager? Control yourself. I got better at hiding it. Cruelty became second nature. When someone made a joke about lending her out, I laughed along. When someone called her a gold digger, I nodded. When I saw her face fall, I told myself it was fake, an act, manipulation. One night, after a particularly brutal round of reminders from Marcus, I went home and found her asleep on my couch. She'd left dinner for me in the oven, something she'd cooked herself, not take out. There was a note. You didn't answer your phone. Saved you some. I stood there for a long time, holding that note. Manipulation, I told myself. Wants you to feel guilty. She wants you to need her. But as I looked at her sleeping, really looked at her, I noticed things I usually ignored. The dark circles under her eyes. The way her hand rested on her side, even in sleep, as if protecting something that hurt. The thinness of her wrist, more bone than flesh. When did she get so thin? Then she shifted and I saw it. A rash on her arm, red and angry, peeking out from under her sleeve. Probably nothing. Allergy or something. I covered her with a blanket and went to bed. Alone. That night, I took her harder than I should have. I wanted to hurt her. I wanted to make her leave. I wanted her to prove me right. Instead, she clung to me afterward, her body soft and warm against mine. And when I was half asleep, barely conscious, I heard myself whisper, Tess. Her name, not Sophie's. Hers. I love you. I didn't say it out loud. I was too much of a coward. In the morning, I left before she woke up. A few months before everything fell apart, I asked her what she wanted for her birthday. I don't know why. The words just came out one afternoon, when we were lying in bed doing nothing, the way we used to before I ruined everything. She looked surprised and cautious, like she was waiting for the punchline. Just tell me, I said, and tried not to sound impatient. Can we? She hesitated. Can we go somewhere? Together? Where? I want to see the ocean. A shy smile. I've never seen it. I grew up inland, in the mountains. I always wanted to go to Maldives, just once, to see the water and feel the sand. I nodded. Her face lit up. Actually lit up like I'd given her the moon. Really? Really, we'll go. Your birthday. She hugged me then, fierce and sudden. I sat there stiffly for a moment, not knowing what to do with my hands. Then, slowly, I let them rest on her back. This is dangerous, I thought. This feeling. This is exactly what you need to avoid. But I didn't push her away. I made plans. I booked a villa on the beach in Maldives. I arranged for a private dinner on the sand, under the stars. I was going to tell her something. I didn't know what. But something. Then my father called. Damien, we need to talk about the Cox-Sophie alliance. Her father is ready to move forward. This is good for both families. Don't disappoint me. I could have said no. I didn't. I forgot Maldives, forgot the villa, the dinner, the stars. I forgot the look on Tess's face when she'd hugged me. I buried it all under the weight of duty and expectation and the armor I'd spent 30 years building. When her birthday came, the one I'd promised, I was at a business dinner with Sophie's father. My phone buzzed. Tess's name. I silenced it. She called again. I ignored it. By the time I remembered, it was after midnight. I pulled out my phone, stared at her name, and couldn't make myself call. What would I even say? So I said nothing. She learned that night that my promises meant nothing. I hated charity galas. Pretentious, boring, full of people who'd never worked a day in their lives pretending to care about the less fortunate. But Sophie wanted to go, so I went. I stood in a corner with a glass of champagne I wasn't drinking, making small talk with businessmen who wanted my favor, and counted the minutes until I could leave. Then I saw Tess. She was working one of those part-time jobs she always had, the ones that baffled me because I gave her more than enough money to live on. She was wearing a server's uniform, carrying a tray, moving through the crowd with her head down. What the hell is she doing here? I watched her. I couldn't help it. There was something different about her tonight. She looked thinner than I remembered, paler. When she thought no one was looking, she pressed a hand to her side as if in pain. Her sleeve shifted, and I caught a glimpse of that rash again, red against her pale skin. Is she sick? Really sick? The thought came and went. She was probably fine. She was always fine. But she said she was sick. She begged you not to leave her. I pushed the thought away. Then Sophie spotted her. You're Tess, aren't you? Sophie's voice carried, deliberately loud. Heads turned. So, you got dumped, and now you're lurking around this place? A woman like you would do anything for money. I saw Tess flinch. Saw her cover her finger, the one with the tattoo I'd forced on her. My initials, DC, the mark of ownership I'd been so proud of. I hear people say, you look like me, Sophie continued, enjoying the audience. That's an insult to me. Look at you so haggard as if you're about to die. Something ugly twisted in my chest. I should have stopped it. I should have stepped in. But my feet wouldn't move. Then Sophie grabbed Tess's wrist. So that's how you earned your keep. A little pet trick, huh? Afraid the world won't forget who owns you? Tess pulled away, just trying to free herself. I could see that now. But Sophie stumbled, fell. Her wineglass shattered, cutting her hand. Blood on her white dress on the floor. I moved then. Ran, actually, which I'd never admit to. I gathered Sophie in my arms, checked her wound, made sure she was okay. Then I looked at Tess. She stood there, pale and trembling, her eyes wide. Who the hell gave you the nerve? I heard myself say. Jealousy has made you lose your mind. Her face crumpled. Just for a second, then it went blank. Before I could say anything else, a man appeared beside her, tall, dark-haired, wearing a doctor's coat over his formal wear. He caught Tess as she swayed. Mr. Cox, the man said coolly, hitting a woman in public is quite ungentlemanly. I recognized him then. William Marlowe, the doctor my grandfather had been raving about, the only one in the country who could perform his surgery. Dr. Marlowe, this is none of your business. She's my friend, Marlowe added. Friend? The word hit me wrong. Tess had friends I didn't know about. Male friends. Well done, Tess. My voice came out uglier than I intended. Few days without me, and you've already hooked up with the city's most sought-after doctor, William Marlowe. Tess opened her mouth to argue, but I was already turning away. I couldn't look at her anymore. Couldn't look at the way Marlowe held her like she was something precious. Let's go home, I said to Sophie, and carried her out. A few days after the gala, I still couldn't shake the image of Tess's face. Pale, trembling, the way she'd looked at me when I accused her of jealousy like I'd slapped her, which I had actually, in front of everyone. She deserved it. She hurt Sophie, but even as I thought it, I knew it wasn't true. Sophie had grabbed her first. Tess was just trying to get free. I pushed the thought away. It didn't matter. What mattered was that Tess had embarrassed Sophie, and Sophie was still upset about it. The cut on her hand was healing, but her pride wasn't. She still has that tattoo, Sophie said one night, tracing the bandage on her palm, the one on her finger. Makes me uncomfortable, knowing she's walking around with your initials on her skin. It's just a tattoo. Damien. Sophie looked at me with those cool, calculating eyes. You said you were done with her. If you're done, why does she still have your mark on her? She was right. Why did Tess still have it? If we were over and we were over, there was no reason for her to keep it. Fine, I said. I'll handle it. I don't know why I went to the hospital. I could have called, could have sent someone, could have just let it go and told Sophie I'd handled it, but I went. I found her room easily enough. Marlowe had made sure her information was accessible. The smug bastard. When I walked in, she was sitting up in bed, an IV in her arm, looking thinner than I'd ever seen her. There was a small teddy bear on her bedside table, the kind a child would have. It seemed out of place. She looked up when I entered, and for a moment, just a moment, I saw something flicker in her eyes. Hope, maybe, or fear. I couldn't tell anymore. "Damien," she said, her voice soft. "What are you doing here?" "I came to settle things." I kept my voice cold, businesslike. "About the tattoo." Her hand instinctively moved to cover her finger. "What about it?" "Sophie doesn't like seeing it. And frankly, I don't want you walking around with my name on you anymore." She stared at me. "You want me to remove it?" "Yes. I'll have it taken care of when I'm discharged. I'll go to a clinic." "No need for that trouble. I can help you." Something shifted in her face. I picked up the fruit knife from her bedside table. It was small, sharp enough. "Damien." Her voice cracked. "Damien, don't. Please. What's the matter? It's just a tattoo. You wanted it, didn't you? You wanted everyone to know who you belong to?" "I was sick," she said, and her voice was shaking. "I was sick and scared, and you made me. You held me down and made me get it." I remembered that day. I'd told her to stop being dramatic, told her it was a sign of ownership, a reminder that she was mine. I'd been proud of it then. Now, looking at her face, I felt something twist in my chest. I ignored it. "Stop pretending," I said, advancing toward the bed. "You're always putting on an act. The poor, helpless victim. It's getting old." She tried to pull away, but she was weak, weaker than I'd ever seen her. The 4 in her arm tugged as she moved. "Damien, please. I'll go to a clinic. I'll get it removed properly. Just leave it for now." "Why? So you can keep wearing my name like a trophy?" I grabbed her wrist. Her skin was cold. "You don't get to keep it. You don't get to hold on to me." "Damien, stop." I pressed the knife to her finger. She went rigid. "This will teach you not to mess with me and Sophie again," I said. I don't know why I said it, to hurt her, to prove something, to make her fight back maybe, so I could finally see the real her. The gold digger, the manipulator, the woman I'd convinced myself she was. The blade pierced her skin. She screamed. Her whole body was shaking, tears streaming down her face, but she didn't pull away. She couldn't. I was holding her too tightly. "It's just a small wound," I said, watching the blood pool in her palm. "It'll heal in a few days. Stop being so dramatic." She didn't answer. Her eyes were closed, her face white as paper. The tattoo was gone now, just a mess of blood and torn skin. Good. That was what she deserved. Eyes landed on a piece of paper on her bedside table. Not a medical report. I hadn't noticed it before. Hidden behind the stupid teddy bear. I picked it up. Diagnosis: systemic lupus erythematosus stage, severe. Kidney involvement detected. Transplant evaluation recommended. Notes: patient has declined to pursue transplant due to financial constraints. Condition is deteriorating. Recommend immediate hospitalization and treatment plan. The words blurred in front of me. I read them again and again. Systemic lupus, erythematosus, kidney involvement. Transplant evaluation. Patient has declined due to financial constraints. 30,000. The exact amount she'd asked for. It's the exact amount I'd thrown in her face. "Tess?" My voice came out strange. Not like mine. "What is this?" She turned her face away. Wouldn't look at me. "It's none of your business, Tess. Just go, Damien." Her voice was barely a whisper. "You've done what you came to do." I stared at the report. At her hand bleeding onto the white sheets. At the 4 in her arm, the medications dripping into her veins. How long has she been sick? How long have I... "Don't let me find out you're playing tricks again," I heard myself say. The words were automatic, a reflex. I didn't know what else to say. I didn't know how to say, "I'm sorry," or "I didn't know," or "Why didn't you tell me," when the answer was so obvious. She tried to tell me 100 times, and I'd laughed. I left. I walked out of the room, down the hall, out of the hospital. I got in my car and I sat there, gripping the steering wheel, my hands shaking. What have I done? The question echoed in my skull, but I didn't have an answer. I didn't have anything. I drove home in silence, not remembering the road, not seeing anything except her face. Her bleeding hand, the medical report with her name on it. Systemic lupus, erythematosus. I never heard of it. I didn't know what it meant. I didn't want to know, because if I knew, if I actually understood, then I'd have to face what I'd done. I didn't go see Tess. I told myself I had better things to do. Sophie needed attention. Her hand was bandaged, the cut deeper than it looked. There were meetings to attend, deals to make, a wedding to plan. But at night, when I couldn't sleep, I thought about the way Tess had looked. Pale, thin, haggard, Sophie had said. And she wasn't wrong. She's probably fine. I almost believed it. Then the news broke. I was in my office when my phone started blowing up. Messages, notifications, tagged posts. I opened social media and saw it. William Marlowe had gone public. Video footage from the hospital. The quality was grainy, security camera probably, but it was unmistakable. Marlowe's caption, "As a doctor, I have a responsibility to protect my patients. If Mr. Cox continues to harm my patients, I have the right to refuse treatment to the Cox family." The comments exploded. People calling me a monster, coward, a spoiled rich kid who thought he could do whatever he wanted. My phone rang. My father, then my mother, then the family lawyer. I sat there staring at the screen, watching the video loop over and over. When did I become this person? I tried to remember the moment when cruelty became easier than kindness, when hurting Tess became automatic, a reflex. I couldn't find it. It was like trying to find the exact second water turned to ice. The Cox family did what the Cox family always did: damage control. Lawyers, statements, promises that the matter would be handled internally. I kept my head down, stayed quiet, didn't go near the hospital. I thought about her, constantly. The way she'd said I'm sick and I hadn't believed her. The way she'd begged me not to abandon her and I'd laughed. Sick with what? I didn't know. I'd never asked. One night I couldn't take it anymore. Typed into my phone, "Systemic lupus erythematosus." The results made my blood run cold. Autoimmune disease, chronic, potentially fatal, attacks healthy tissue. Symptoms include extreme fatigue, joint pain, skin rashes, organ damage. Treatment requires ongoing medication and monitoring. In severe cases, kidney failure, transplant may be necessary. I kept reading, scrolling through page after page, my heart pounding. I thought about Tess, how she always seemed tired, even after sleeping. How she wore long sleeves even in summer. "I'm cold," she'd say, and I never questioned it. How she'd flinch sometimes when I touched her, and I assumed it was acting, not pain. Kidney involvement occurs in about 50% of patients. I found a forum post from a woman describing her diagnosis. The doctor told me I'd need lifelong treatment. I cried for days. I didn't know how I'd afford it. Someone had replied, "My partner left when I told him. Said he couldn't handle the stress. Some people just can't handle sickness." I thought about all the times Tess had tried to tell me, "I'm sick. Please don't leave me." And I'd laughed. Accused her of manipulation. Called her a gold digger to my friends while she was dying in front of me. Some people just can't handle sickness. I wasn't one of those people. I was worse. I didn't even give her the chance to tell me. I threw my phone across the room. It hit the wall and shattered. Then I sat there in the dark, my head in my hands, and I didn't move for a long time. I don't remember putting on the tuxedo. I don't remember the car ride to the venue or the guests arriving or the flowers being arranged. I moved through the motions like a ghost, my body going through the steps while my mind was somewhere else. Tess, Tess, Tess. Her name was a drumbeat in my skull. The music started. Sophie appeared at the end of the aisle, beautiful and white, smiling. Everyone turned to look at her. I looked at my hands, the hands that had held a knife to Tess's skin, the hands that had pushed her away, again and again, every time she tried to get close. And then I remembered, I want to see the ocean. Her face lit up with hope. Really? The way she'd hugged me, fierce and sudden? "We'll go. Your birthday," I'd promised her. I'd promised her the ocean, and I'd given her nothing. Not even a phone call. Not even an explanation. Do you, Damien, take this woman? The priest's voice faded in and out. I caught fragments. Love, honor, cherish, in sickness and in health. In sickness, I thought about Tess, alone in that hospital room. Tess, sick and scared, begging me not to leave her. Tess, who'd spent 5 years with a man who called her a gold digger to his friends and meant it. What have I done? Damien, Sophie's voice, sharp with impatience. Damien, say I do. I looked at her. She was beautiful, perfect, exactly what I was supposed to want. But she's not Tess. The thought hit me like a physical blow. I stood there swaying, while the guests murmured and Sophie's smile turned brittle. Damien, a whisper now, angry. Say it. I opened my mouth. What came out was, I'm sorry. I have something to do. I walked out. Behind me, Sophie screamed. The guests erupted. Someone grabbed my arm, my father, and I shook him off. I kept walking. Out of the venue, past the flowers and the cameras and the shocked faces, into my car, and I drove. I drove like a man possessed, running red lights, ignoring every rule I'd ever followed. The hospital. One had to get to the hospital. I had to see her. I had to. Too late. The thought whispered through my mind, but I pushed it away. Wasn't too late. It couldn't be too late. I burst into her room. Marlo was there, sitting by her bed. He looked up when I entered, and his face told me everything. I turned to the bed. Tess lay there, so still, so pale. Her eyes were closed. Her chest didn't move. No. The word came out small, a child's word. I took a step forward. Another. No. Marlo stood, blocking my path. His eyes were red-rimmed, his jaw tight. Get out, he shoved me, hard. I stumbled back, hit the wall. You don't get to be here. You don't get to see her. You had 5 years, Damien. 5 years, and you spent them destroying her. I tried to push past him. He punched me. I barely felt it. Tess, I called out to her, to the still body on the bed. Tess, I'm here. I came. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, please. Marlo hit me again. I went down, tasted blood. Through the roaring in my ears, I heard him say, You're too late. You're always too late. I crawled toward the bed. I don't know how I got there, but suddenly I was beside her, touching her cold hand, pressing my face to her still shoulder. Cold. She's cold. I'd held her so many times, warm and soft and alive. How had I never realized what I had? Tess, I whispered into her hair. Tess, wake up. Please, I'll take you to Maldives. We'll see the ocean. Just wake up. She didn't move. Marlo pulled me away eventually. Security came. They dragged me out of the room, down the hall, out of the hospital. I fought them, kicked, screamed, cursed, but they were stronger. I ended up on the ground outside in the rain, not knowing when it had started raining. I lay there, face down in the wet grass, and I wept. I wasn't invited. I went anyway. I stood at the back, in the shadows, watching from a distance. There weren't many people. A few relatives I didn't recognize, some friends from her part-time jobs. Marlo in black, his face like stone, a coffin, small, white, carrying the only woman I'd ever loved. I never said it to her. Never once. In 5 years, I'd never told her the truth. After everyone left, I approached the grave. Fresh dirt, flowers, a small headstone with her name and dates. Tess Harper, 1998 to 2026. 28 years old. I fell to my knees and didn't get up for a long time. I went to her apartment. I don't know why. To feel close to her. To find something, anything, that might explain how I'd been so blind. The place was small, neat, nothing like the lavish lifestyle I'd accused her of wanting. In her closet, I found the dress I'd given her, the pearl white one. She'd never worn it. The tags were still on. I found a box under her bed. Inside, photographs, letters, a journal. I shouldn't have read it. I read it anyway. June 3rd. Doctor's appointment today. My kidneys are getting worse. The transplant list is so long. I don't know if I'll make it. July 12th. Damien forgot my birthday again. But then he left a dress. Such a beautiful dress. He does care, doesn't he? In his own way. August 4th. I heard what he said at the club. It's just a commodity. Tired of her, it's funny. I should be used to it by now, but it still hurts. September 18th. He proposed to Sophie. I saw the photos. She's beautiful. Perfect. Everything I'm not. Wonder if he ever thinks about me when he's with her. October 2nd. I'm so tired. The pain is worse. I asked him not to leave me, and he laughed. I asked for money, just enough for the transplant, and he accused me of being a gold digger. What's the point anymore? October 15th. I don't think I'm going to make it. I forgive him. I know he's not a bad person. He's just broken, like me. I closed the journal. I couldn't read anymore. She forgave me. I didn't deserve it. I'd never deserved her. But one entry haunted me more than the others. I kept going back to it. March 3rd. Damien said he'd take me to Maldives. He actually said yes. I'm so happy I could cry. Maybe he does love me after all. Maybe we have a chance. I've been saving pictures of the ocean, white sand, blue water, sunsets. I want to remember this feeling forever, a feeling of hope. I put my head in my hands and sobbed like a child. Sophie came to my apartment a week after the wedding that wasn't. Dressed to kill, makeup perfect, smile fixed in place. Damien, we need to talk. I didn't let her in. We're done, Sophie. Her smile flickered. Done? Damien, you humiliated me in front of everyone. You owe me? I owe you nothing. My voice was flat, empty. I used you. I know that. I'm sorry. But I can't marry you. Can't marry anyone. This is about that girl, isn't it? The dead one? I saw red. I don't remember hitting her. I just remember her on the ground, blood on her face, screaming. And my hands. I stopped, stepped back, looked at what I'd done, becoming a monster. Sophie was taken to the hospital. Critical condition, they said. The Cox family lawyers went to work. Accidental fall, money changed hands, promises were made. I didn't care. I bought flowers, white gardenias, her favorite. I went to the cemetery every day, rain or shine. I'd sit by her grave and talk to her, telling her all the things I should have said when she was alive. I remember the first time I saw you. You were in college, a friend's party. You were so beautiful. I couldn't look away. I remember when you agreed to be with me, I was so happy. I wanted to shout it from the rooftops, but then I got scared. I always get scared. I remember the way you'd smile when I came home, the way you'd leave dinner for me, even when I didn't deserve it. It's the way you'd hold me at night, like I was something worth holding. One day I brought the dress. It's a pearl white one. I held it to my chest and breathed in, trying to find her scent. It was gone. Everything was gone. I was going to tell you, I whispered to the headstone. In Maldives. I was going to tell you that I loved you, that I'd always loved you, that I was sorry for being such a coward. The wind blew through the trees. No answer. I never took you to see the ocean. They say I lost my mind. Maybe I did. I stopped going to work, stopped answering calls, stopped eating, sleeping, living. I just sat in my apartment, surrounded by her things, the journal, the photographs, the dress, and I talked to her. She was sick, really sick. And I didn't believe her. She asked me for money for a transplant, and I called her a gold digger. She begged me not to leave her, and I left. The last time I saw her alive, I cut her with a knife. I cut her because Sophie didn't like her tattoo. Monster, monster. The word became a mantra. I said it out loud, over and over, until my voice gave out. They came for me a few days later, my family. Doctors, men in white coats, who spoke in gentle voices and talked about rest and recovery. I went quietly. What else was there? The institution was clean, quiet, full of people who'd lost their minds in various ways. I fit right in. They gave me medication, therapy, asked me to talk about my feelings. I told them about Tess, about the dress, about Maldives, about the knife, about the rain. They listened, made notes, adjusted my meds. I spent my days in a chair by the window, holding her dress, staring at the sky. Sometimes I talked to her. Sometimes I just sat. What would you think of me now, Tess? I imagined her answer. Gentle. Forgiving, that was how she was. I forgive you, Damien. But you have to forgive yourself, too. Easy for her to say. She was dead. They let me out eventually. Improved, they said. Ready to rejoin society? I had no society to rejoin. My family wanted nothing to do with me. My friends had scattered. Sophie had recovered and left the country, vowing never to see me again. I was alone. Packed one bag. I took her dress. I took a photograph of her, the one from Better Days, when she still smiled. And I went to Maldives. I found a beach, quiet and beautiful, with water so clear it looked like glass. I sat in the sand and watched the waves roll in, one after another, endless and eternal. I brought you to the ocean, Tess, I said. I know it's too late. I know you can't see it. But I brought you anyway. I held her dress in my arms. I closed my eyes. And for the first time in months, I didn't feel the weight of what I'd done pressing down on my chest. I forgive you, Damien. Maybe it was my imagination. Maybe it was the wind or the waves or the part of my mind that still held on to her. Maybe it was her. Thank you, I thought, for everything. I opened my eyes and looked out at the ocean. Blue and endless, stretching to the horizon. I'll spend the rest of my life being sorry, but I'll also spend it remembering you, loving you. It's keeping you alive somehow, in whatever way I can. The waves rolled in, the sun began to set, and I sat there on the beach, watching the sky turn gold and pink and purple, and I let myself feel it all. The grief, the regret, the love, especially the love. I loved you, Tess. I always loved you. I just didn't know how to say it. I hope you know now. I hope you're somewhere peaceful, somewhere beautiful, somewhere with an ocean you can finally see. I hope you're happy. I stopped hoping. I just sat there in the fading light and let the waves wash over my feet, and I thought about her. I would think about her forever.
You've heard his side, but this was my story too.
Shh.